Hey guys, today I brought out a Sig Sauer P226, and this is not my handgun. So one of the guys that I work with, this is actually his wife's handgun, and he had seen that I did the P220 video, and he asked me if I wanted to, take this one out, fire some rounds through it, and do a video on it. I said absolutely, as long as it's good with you and your wife doesn't care. Yeah, so he said no problems. So I figured I'd bring it out here and talk about it just a little bit, and obviously shoot it just a little bit. So real quick, the P226 really doesn't need an introduction, but the P220 was the original design. This design is based on the SIG P220, but they wanted a handgun that was capable of using double stack magazines, so you get more rounds in it. But it's basically the same design. There's a couple differences, minor differences. It's real quick. It has the alloy frame. It is a steel machined slide. One of the differences I see right away is right up here. It has a loaded chamber indicator that sticks up right here, and it's marked, so it doesn't matter if you're left or right-handed, you're going to be able to read that. But once I load it, I'll see what that looks like. This one does have the 3-dot SIG night sights, so they are like tritium inserts, and the 3-dot sight system. It's white daytime, which I don't care for. White 3-dot sight system. It's not my first choice. Some of the other things, so it does have, and the weapon is clear, but it does have the slide lock is right here, and that is not ambidextrous. So right forward of the slide lock is the decocking lever, so that you can safely decock the hammer, or lower the hammer once you have a magazine in, a live round in there. You could load your magazine, chamber around, and then decock it, and you'll safely lower that hammer without firing the handgun. A little forward of that is the takedown lever. I do like the triggers on the SIGs. They're nice and wide and smooth. They don't have ridges or anything, and I really like that. One of the things I don't like is this one has a trigger disconnect, so you have to have the magazine in. If the weapon's cocked, and it is clear, but with the weapon cocked, you cannot pull the trigger unless the magazine's inserted. That's one of the things I don't like, because I do like to practice and dry fire a little bit, and you have to have the magazine in to do that. So that's one of the things I don't like. This one also has the Picatinny rails. You can mount light or laser or something there if you chose to do that. The grip of the SIG, my P220, I really like that P220, and I like the feel of the grip, but the difference is mine has grips that kind of screw on, and this is the new style, and this is definitely a little more aggressive texture. It doesn't feel bad though, and the grip does feel a little fatter, and that's probably to facilitate that double stack magazine. And obviously the magazine release is here, and I do not know if it's reversible. It might be. I'm not gonna. This is obviously it's not my handgun. I'm not gonna mess with any of that. All I'm gonna do is kind of shoot it and give my opinion of it a little bit. Speaking of the magazines, unfortunately, I only have 2 magazines to use today, and they only hold 10 rounds each. So there are obviously you can get magazines up to 20 rounds for this handgun, but I have 2 10-rounders, so I'll try not to make the film too jumpy or cut in and out, but I am gonna have to reload magazines to continue firing. But I'll probably stop the film, start the film, just to make sure the film doesn't go too long, the video. The ammunition I'm using today is the Winchester 9mm NATO, and it is 124 grain. This is, you know, good ammo. I really like it. That's what it looks like. All right, what I'm going to do is get the camera ready, and I'm going to go ahead and do a couple mag dumps here at the close targets, these close ones. The first one's a little over 5, then a little over 8, then the last one's just right under 11. And if you notice on the last one, there's something strapped to the chest, so I'm gonna have to go ahead and see if I can hit that thing. And actually, obviously it's a paint can, but so when I came out and I started respraying the targets today, this one is brand new can. The actual top broke, so the thing's about 3/4 full. So I want to see what it does. Hopefully it doesn't come back this far. But all right, let's get started. Wow. That's pretty awesome. It just coated that target. Unfortunately, since the paint's still wet, it probably won't show when I hit it again, but that was pretty neat. I like that. Oh, it does still show them. I'm just trying to get a feel for it. These are the first magazines I've fired. And I'm going to aim at the bolt that's holding the targets on, the head of the bolt. Alright, so the first magazine, maybe I didn't have it lubed enough, and you probably saw in the video, the slide did hesitate to go into battery on one round, so I just gave it a little tap, and I went ahead and added a little more oil, so hopefully that won't happen again. Alright guys, so I adjusted the camera so that I could shoot out the kind of the mid-range targets. The round gongs are around 11 yards. The first black silhouette is a little over 16 yards, and the second black silhouette is a little over 26. Alright, so now I'm going to go ahead and try and engage the farther targets. The third black silhouette on the range large one, which is the first one of my longer range targets, is at a little over 41. The next one's a little over 53, and then that next one out there is a little over 62, and the farthest one is a little over 77. These 10-round magazines really go fast, but I'm going to throw a few more at that 77 plus yard target. Alright, so I was aiming at the very base of the target, and that's what was giving me some hits, which is good to know. I'm going to back off to that 62 yard target. So that's kind of a low hold also. I'm going to the 53 yard target. Then back to the 40, little over 41. Alright guys, I'm just going to fire a few more magazines. Like I said, I had to move the camera just a little bit, but I'm going to fire from the 5 out to the 26. Just play a little bit. So a couple of things I haven't shown yet. I was going to show the loaded when up indicator, clearly marked for right or left-handed shooters. And I'll show you how to do lower it on a live round and fire from double action. So first you're going to release the slide. It's actually better on the weapon if you do it this way. So do you see the loaded indicator? It's very hard to miss, huh? It sticks out quite a bit. And here comes a pretty big gust of wind. But so right here's the decock lever. So to lower the hammer on a live round, that's all you do. Then you can fire the handgun from double action, and once it cycles, obviously it'll leave the hammer back and then be single action until you decock it again or you run out of ammunition. I'll go ahead and start out double action again. Alright guys, I think that's going to end the shooting for today. Let me set this down and readjust the camera real quick. Alright guys, the SIG P226. You know, there's not a lot that I can say about this handgun. It's been around a long time. It was developed between 1980 and 83 is when they designed it, and then they started producing it in 1983, and it's been produced ever since. And it's changed very little over all those years. That's one of the things that you know, you can say SIG really got it right. They got it right with the SIG P220, and then, you know, they transferred a lot of that into this handgun, and they got this one right. Multiple law enforcement agencies around the world, multiple militaries to include the U.S. military, use this handgun, and there's a reason. They just work. And today, I think I'm sure you saw in the very first, it was either the very first magazine or the second magazine, it hesitated to go fully into battery for a second, and all I did was just tap it like that, literally, and it went into battery fully. Once I'd finished that magazine, or the second magazine, then I put a little more lube on the handgun, on the rails and stuff, to make sure that it wasn't, you know, under lubed. That could have been the issue. But the rest of the day, it did fire flawlessly. There was not a failure to fire, feed, or function the rest of the day, everything I fired. Another thing, I don't typically like the 3-dot sight system, the white 3-dot sight system. This is not bad. This does have the tritium inserts in the center and then the white outlines around them. I could work with it. You know, now obviously you did notice, and I talked about it while I was firing. For me, for the way that I shoot the handgun, I have to use a 6 o'clock hold, starting about the 40 yard and then beyond, especially that 77 yard. And for those of you who may not know terminology, a 6 o'clock hold is where you line up your sights at the base of the target, as opposed to the center of the target. For me to hit those farther targets, especially that 77, the 77, I actually lined up the sights, I brought it to the base of the target, and then I went just a little lower, and that's what was giving me the hits. So, and there's nothing wrong with a 6 o'clock hold. Some people prefer their handgun to have a 6 o'clock hold. That way they know where to hold. Every time they'll bring it just to the base of the target and fire. it's, you know, like I said, there's nothing wrong with it, just something to know. The other thing, last thing, and I'll wrap this up. Like I said at the beginning of the video, one of my friends, one of the guys I work with, this is actually his wife's handgun, and I have to thank him and his wife for allowing me to bring it out here and fire it. You know, pretty good friend that'll let you take their gun out and put a couple hundred rounds through it. I actually put, so Ben, if you're watching, I actually put about 185 rounds through it. Just if you're keeping track or keeping count. But thank you again, and thank your wife. I appreciate it. All right, guys, I think that's about it. The last thing, I will put all the distances and dimensions down in the little section where I can fill in information below the video. And as usual, I had a lot of fun. Got to shoot some steel. I got to shoot some steel with a SIG P226, a really, really, you know, fine handgun. So that's always great. And I will see you guys next time.